This is the HaltingWinter Podcast. I'm your host, Seth Winterhalter. Today we close our three-part series on sales strategies for greater success. How do we have more success in our sales? Well, we talked about first, how do we build strong relationships in light of the sales process? Go back and listen to that episode. Second, we talked about how do we offer exceptional value? How do we not think cheap, but how do we think customized? How do we really offer unique features and benefits that actually make our customers say, I got to be with you. You're the best. You're awesome. How do we do that? Today, we're talking about a winning close. When it comes to the actual close of the sale, how do you get out of your head? How do you get out of your fear of asking for money? How do you get out of the intimidation of the price that you have for your products? How do you have a winning close? We're going to dive into some of the thoughts I have on that today. I want to remind you, Halting Winter is here to empower you, the small business owner, to break free from the daily grind so that you can achieve exponential growth in your revenue and in your impact. We want you to get out of that hamster wheel of working in your business, right? The daily grind of and so you can get above it, so you can work on it, creating the frameworks needed to build and grow. Just because you're a small business does not mean you should not have big revenue and big impact. Remember, the more money you make, the more impactful you'll be to your customers, to your employees, to the world around you. So money's not evil. People are evil and they do stupid things. We're not those people, are we? We are kind, we are gracious, we are good business owners who want to do good things with our products and services. So let's dive in. How do we have a winning close? Here's just the first, I think the core things that come to my mind is I've been here. I have struggled. I want to serve people. And again, a little bit of my story. Remember, I was in vocational ministry for 20 years, right? I was a professional musician for 10. I was in ministry as a pastor, lead pastor, for 10 years after that. And again, all of that took place in some form or the other inside ministry. And so I had a lot of things in my head about money, about how charging, asking for money is, I don't know if anything was really wrong, or it was just like, it just felt pressure though. It felt like it didn't feel comfortable. Money was always kind of tainted. The love of money and is not a good thing. And yeah, it's right. Like, we shouldn't worship money. We shouldn't be so consumed with making more money that it drives us to put money before people. I think that's really the heart of that message, is we should care about people. But guess what? To care for people takes money. You live in a world where things cost, right? If I don't make money, I can't feed my family. If I don't make money, I can't buy the things that make life enjoyable, make my life comfortable. If I don't make money, I'm not going to be in business. Therefore, I'm not going to serve anybody. So we have to get over our money issues, and we have to think then, when it comes to the close, how do I win? How do I make sure that I have some things that are getting me out of my fears, and maybe it's not money, maybe it's rejection. I don't want to be rejected. So I hate asking for the sale because I don't want to be told no. Oh, I don't want to have to deal with the pushback. I just, when they give me an excuse, oh, we can't right now. Oh, okay, well, let me know when you can, right? We don't want any confrontation. There's some things. What's your fear when it comes to sales? Is it money? Is it rejection? Is it confrontation? Like, what's going on? Because guess what? Something's going on. If you're not good at sales, if you're not good at closing sales, something's going on between your ears, and the sooner you can figure that out, the better. Here's some strategies, though, to help with that. Number one, what is I call it the one-liner, right? It's kind of like what I say, like every business needs a one-liner. Like for us, Halting Winter, we empower small business owners to break free from the daily grind so that you can achieve exponential growth in your revenue and your impact. That's our one-liner. So I would say at the end, when you're going to close, you're going to want to reinforce that one-liner, right? You can say, if you're a mechanic and you just looked at someone's car and now they've got a host of things to fix, you can say, hey, remember, your one-liner may be something like, our whole goal is to take the stress and the overwhelm of your vehicle maintenance off of you and onto us so that you can just worry about getting from A to Z. We want you to enjoy getting from A to Z, not to worry about it, right? Again, I'm thinking off the top of my head, but something about that. How do we take off the stress from you so that you can enjoy the journey? So you cannot have to think about, so you have no stress from getting from A to Z, something like that, right? So you want to repeat and go, hey, I get it. You're about to spend a lot of money on this vehicle, but remember, that's going to take off the stress. You're not going to have to worry now, is one of these things on this paper going to go out? I would tell them to you if I didn't think it's a concern. In fact, I've noted on here each one of these from a 1 to a 5, 1 meaning it's of no concern, it's awesome, to a 5, this is DEFCON, like I'm nervous for you that this could impact your car in a really negative way. You can see that you have 3 in the 4s. Like, that's not, if it's a 4, like I don't know when it's going to be a 5, but I don't want to tempt fate. That's why I put things at a 4. A 3 is, hey, it's showing some wear and tear, but it still looks like it has life. 4 is, I don't know how much life it has left, and I just don't want you to be stressed about it, and I don't want to be stressed for you. If it's a 5, I'm telling you, you shouldn't leave this shop without us fixing it, right? And so if you're communicating to your customer like that, so they're like, oh, okay, now I understand. Like, I just got back a couple weeks ago I had to have a recall on a part of my car and an airbag or something. And so I had them do the oil change while I was in there. And I usually don't because they're pretty incompetent. They put on the filter wrong once, and I got oil over my driveway. And so I don't really like having my car serviced at this particular dealership. But I do once in a while if it's convenient. And it was convenient because I could knock out a bunch of things and didn't have to drive my car all over Timbuktu. And so I did. But guess what? They gave me this sheet that had a laundry list. I mean, up to, I think it was like $8,000 of things. And I was like, you know what's interesting? I was just in here 3 months ago getting my oil changed. The reason I got changed a little early is because I'm going on a road trip. And so I wanted to make sure, right, everything was tip-top condition. And nothing was on this. I had a clean bill. And so all of a sudden, now you're telling me that all of a sudden, all these things that now my brakes were fine then, we're not even a blip on the radar, and now they're going to go out? And now I'm just like, I don't believe you. I do not believe you. I believe that you are hoodwinking me because this doesn't make sense. See? So again, we have to help our customer. Like, we have to help them know this is part of the close. Like, do you have a process in your, if you're, especially like on that where it's reoccurring, like if I'm already getting my oil change, or if you come out for the first time and clean my windows and my gutters, and now I'm coming out again, like I want to know how things are going. Like, I don't want to be surprised and shocked and then be like, this is hard to believe because I was just in here a few months ago and now and nothing was everything was in the green and now it's in the red. Like, how does it go that fast? It doesn't make sense. So anyway, a little tangent there, but I want you to help. Like, hopefully that helps you go, that's right. How am I communicating to my customer? Just because I know it doesn't mean that they know it. And if I'm not communicating those things that I know to them in a helpful way, maybe I did communicate it and it went over their head because, I communicated it poorly. That's part of the sales close. Like, help them understand that you're there to serve them. So I'm trying to reinforce. So that one-liner helps go, hey, remember, we are all about taking the stress and overwhelm. That's why here's some things that I want to make sure you're not stressed about. But I want to also be honest with you about your car, about your service, about whatever's going on. And then, so you want to summarize. That's why I said the one-liner or the summary maybe is a better. You want to start the close with a summary. Remember, this is what's going on. Here's the problem that you've articulated to me. And here's the solution that I'm going to give, right? Summary. Your problem was you brought the car in because it was making a funky noise. I identified the problem. Here's the solution. We're going to fix this for you. Okay. Now, here's where I would say, don't just end there, because I think a lot of people do. They summarize and they go, now we're going to fix it. Okay. What next? right? This is like the silence, like we're waiting for them to close the sale for us. Oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. And what do I do? Like, that's why you want to summarize. Here's the issue. Here's the diagnosis. We're going to solve it. And then you give them the 3 parts. So here's what we're going to do. You can make a deposit, or like, it just depends what are your 3 parts that you need to do. It doesn't have to be 3, but it should be no more than 3. It could be, we need to take a deposit today. You can fill a deposit. I want to look at the schedule and see, and then how does Friday at 10 a.m. work? Notice this. When you give them the action items, you give them the one-liner, you give them the summary, and then you give them actions to take. And those actions aren't, okay, the cost is X. Yeah, the cost is $3,000. And then you wait for them. That's the worst, right? I told them the cost, and that's the last thing I talked to them about, and now I'm waiting for them to tell me yes or no. That's horrible sales. You tell them, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's the cost of that solution, and now here's your action items. What we can do is we can take a deposit. Let's look at the schedule and figure out when we can get you on. I'm looking at my schedule, and I can do Friday at 10. Does that work for you? So what did I do? I did not make it about, does the price work for you? I made it, does Friday at 10 a.m. work for you? So now they're thinking of 2 things. I'm thinking, does Friday at 10 work for me? That's my question. I'm also thinking, does $3,000 work for me? Ugh, that is pricey. But he's the solution. Again, the question is Friday at 10. Yeah, I can do Friday. I can do Friday at 10. Great. Let's get you on the deposit, right? The reality is they need to have the problem solved. Everyone has money issues, right? No one wants to spend money on the things that we really need to spend money on. We want to spend money on Disneyland. We don't want to spend money on our car or house or things that actually matter. But we need to. A small business doesn't want to spend money on a CPA, but they need to, right? And so just know that we're all going to push back on pricing. It doesn't matter if it's $1. We're going to push back because it's in our nature to push back on spending money on things that we need instead of things that we want. If you want to sell things that people want, go and just sell ice cream. Okay? Sell cookies. Sell cupcakes. If you want to sell, but no one's paying, right, top dollar for ice cream. It's a nickel and dime thing. So if you want to make money and you want to sell, unless you're Crumble, right, then go do Crumble. If you want to sell your products, you've got to help them. But I think it's better to take their mind off the money. Doesn't mean you're being deceptive. You're just helping them go, hey, let's get to the end goal. The end goal is me serving you and solving your problem. How does Friday at 10 work? Right? So if maybe you're a CPA and you go, hey, here's the packages. It's this. When could we set up our onboarding call? Right? We do an onboard with new customers. Does next Monday work for you? You took it off the sale. You took it off the number and you put it to what's the next action step? What's the first thing that's going to kick off our partnership together? Right? So think, summary statement, their problem, your solution, then the 3 parts. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. And now does this work for you? And then number 3, so number 1's a summary. Number 2 is what's the 3-part action? Maybe that's a 2-part, more than 1, 2 to 3. What are the 3 parts? And then be okay with silence. Let them think about it. Let them respond. Don't, sometimes it's like 2 seconds of silence and we're like, oh, but I can take payments or I can take wampum, or I can, you have any beaver pelts? What are we doing? We're so uncomfortable. We're uncomfortable with silence. We're uncomfortable with I asked and so we get in our own way. So just be okay. Does Friday at 10 work? I'm going to assume that they're pulling up their calendar and they're going to take a lookie. They're going to figure it out. It's okay. Wait for them to talk, right? Wait for them to talk, and don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions, because that's where I think where we fail in the close of a sale is we start going, oh no, they're not talking. Or maybe they say, yeah, okay, well, oh, man, that's expensive. Just because they say that's expensive doesn't mean they're saying it's not worth it. They're just stating a fact. It is expensive relative to a gumball machine, right? Remember that too. Just because someone's expensive, in light of what? It's not expensive. My services are not expensive in light of a Bugatti, and I give Bugatti service. So, maybe I should charge Bugatti prices. Like, it's not, let's say someday I charge Bugatti prices. Someday, I know, like Tony Robbins, I think it's like $1 million to talk to Tony. Like, people pay him $1 million to have probably a 60-minute session with him. That's expensive. That is expensive. But guess what? To some people, it's not. To some people, what's expensive? They're $100 million yacht. That's expensive. Or to some, that's not. Like, figuring out how to go to the moon seems expensive because it's multi billions of dollars. I don't know. Like, just remember, expensive is a relative term. And just because someone says it, it doesn't have any. Don't assume that means that you're not worth it. Don't assume that that's a negative, a statement of value to what you're propositioning. Be careful on assumptions. That's expensive. It doesn't need a reply. It doesn't need you to come in and justify it. Okay. So does Friday at 10 work? Yeah, it works. Yeah, I want to make the investment. Right? Go back to what is tangible. Instead of, because I think what we want to do is we want to, it's not, we get in our own way. We have no idea what they're thinking. We have no idea. And so be careful that you assume what they're thinking, because you're going to assume negative. Stereotypically, you're going to assume it's a negative that now you have to figure out how to make it happen. Here's the final thing. Don't justify your cost. Don't get in the weeds of trying to justify, that's expensive. I don't know if I can. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. Okay. Well, you told me it was worth it. You said that this problem you have is a total pain. It's causing you stress and sleepless nights and crazy worry. And I'm telling you, I can solve it. This is how much to solve that problem. And when I say I solve a problem, I solve it. I don't solve it halfway. I don't solve it 3/4 of the way. I don't solve it 90% of the way. I believe that the thing I quoted you on solves that problem. And if it doesn't, I'm going to continue to make sure I work to solve that problem. So I don't think it's expensive in light of that reality. I mean, don't you agree with that? I think that's the conversation we had. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Like, you don't need to get into the justification weeds. Just be like, hey, you said this is the problem. I'm telling you that I can solve it. This is how much it costs me to solve that problem. It's up to you to decide if it's still a problem. Like, it seems like it's a problem, but, I know that I can solve it. And you're not here to say, well, but someone else quoted me this. Okay. If they think they can solve the problem, I don't think that's possible at that price. I would worry that that's not, I know that I can't give you the service I can give you at that price. So again, maybe they can, maybe they, I'm not sure how they come to their pricing, but I know how I come to mine. And I know that that solves the problem you've articulated to me, that I'm going to do this. Remember the features, the benefits, that's what I'm going to do to solve that. And so I would really like to work with you. I think we have a good relationship. I think we've built something here, an understanding of really right. I would just encourage you to think on that. Think on what we talked about. That again, you can repeat some of the language they use for the problem, but don't get into the weeds of your cost. Don't get into trying to justify. Go back to the problem and say, hey, this was the problem you articulated. I can solve that problem. It is this much, but I can also start right now. Are you ready for that? Yes, I'm ready. Okay, let's get your deposit. Let's get you on the schedule. Great. So hopefully there's some things to think about, like summarize Don't go in. Some people, and why I say the very first thing in the close is the summary. It's like it's not a bullet point. It's like a one-line summary. That's why I call it the one-liner. Summarize what you just said, all of that in one quick line, because you don't want to go back through everything. One quick line. Remember, this is what we do. We're doing this for me. You're going to be a part of the mastermind? Like, yes, I want you to be a part of this mastermind. This is what I'm recommending for you. Remember, I'm trying to get you to break free from the daily grind to come alongside to help you achieve exponential growth. We are going to double your revenue. That's what we're going to do. Are you ready? I'm ready. Great. The cost for the mastermind is this. I do an onboard ahead of that just to give you some details. Here's the form I'm going to send you. When can we do that onboarding call? Does next Friday work? Yeah, let me look at my calendar here. Yep. Okay, 6,000? Is that what you said? Is it 6,000? Okay, 6,000. Yeah. Ooh. It's kind of expensive. Okay. What can I do to help make that happen? Well, could I do payments? What are you thinking? Yeah, if I could break that up into 3 payments. Great. I can do that. Let's start with the first. It's this. Great, perfect. Let's go. Right? Like, now I'm responding. Like, I'm not assuming. I'm responding. I'm listening. I'm trying to engage the customer to try to come to where they're at. Now, if they would have said, hey, can I break that into like payments over 5 years? No. I can't do that. I could do this. Right? Like, sure, meet your customer where you can, but don't assume. Like, I'm not going to, there's silence. Oh, I can take payments. Oh, I can do this. I'm not going to try to offer things unless they're guiding me towards what would help them be a part of my solutions, right? So really listen. Just like you listened intensely in the beginning, listen. Just like we said at the beginning of this, how do we build strong relationships? How do we build a relationship in a sales conversation? We start by not talking. We start by listening and discovering. It's the same thing in the close. Listen. Give your one-liner. Give your summary statement. Give them the action steps. I'm going to take a deposit. Let's look at the schedule. How does this work for the onboarding call? Be okay with silence. Let them talk. Don't make assumptions in light of what they say. Just continue to offer solutions as you're able. Do not justify your cost. Instead, live up to your cost. My cost solves your problem. Remember your problem? That's what we got on this phone call. I want to solve your problem. Do you want to solve your problem? Boom. There it is. Some simple sales strategies to think about as you're trying to close more sales. Because at the end of the day, we are trying to serve our customers, but we also need to make a living doing it. We also need to think about the prices we charge. Are the prices we charge keeping us in business? It's so shocking to me sometimes that small business owners do not understand their pricing, and they wonder why they're always in stress about making payroll, about staying in business. It's because, and maybe that's a whole nother, maybe that'll be the next series, is how do you do product assessment to really make sure that you're charging the right prices for your products? Well, tune in to the next time and let's see what my clever mind comes up with for a topic. If you need help with sales, you need help dialing in your sales strategy, we'd love to help. HaltingWinter.com. Set up a call, set up a time for us to chat. We'd love to do that with you. Consider joining one of the masterminds and letting us really fine tune your small business over the course of 6 months. And let's do that with others. That will benefit you to build some relationships, to have some support, and also to have some accountability in really taking the steps necessary to grow your business. Okay, HaltingWinter.com. I'm Seth Winterhalter. Until next time.